Welcome back to the channel and a new video on the Porsche Boxster. Bit of an unexpected one. We was not planning on doing this, and you can see straight away we have started to prepare it. We didn't want a video lifting the roof back up, taking the engine cover off. We've just stripped it all back off, and we're going to pick up pretty much where we left off in the last video on this one. We need to start by removing that wheel, and then we can get underneath. And hopefully I'll be able to show you a little bit more of what we couldn't see in the last video, like that little switch, gear position switch. Let's get that wheel off, get it up in the air. We know there's an engine mount to remove, and it's right down this side. That's kind of why we uncovered it. Bit more light as well. Anyway, no waffle. Let's get on and get this one back on its wheels and driving.
So I thought I'd better do a cut-in, even though I'm a little bit late really with doing it. Robbie's off for a couple of days, and I thought, well, I'll continue having a play with this. And this is our original from the car, which you might see I have had apart because I've drilled the rivets out that rivet this casing to the back plate, and I've replaced it with screws. And the reason I had that apart was I was suspect of it. We got a price for a new one, it was over £300. I had this one on the shelf, which I believe is from a TD5 Discovery, which, as you can see, that back plate or that casing I should say, is exactly the same, although it was riveted to a slightly different back plate. So I've took that apart, and what there is inside that is that little ring that's got 6 switches in there, and it has 9 wires going in these terminals. And as this ring rotates, it operates those little switches and makes and breaks contactors, which in turn illuminate on the dashboard which gear you're in, and also tell the ECU that you're in park and it's okay to crank the engine as a safety feature, so you can't start the car in gear. So I was suspect of that, as I say, and when I took this ring out of this one and played with these little switches, they felt very different to the switches in the other ring. So I've swapped them over, if that makes sense. Now, I swapped it over, just put 2 nuts and bolts in there. I thought I'll put it back on the car, plug it in, cable back on, try it, which I did, worked fine. So I've took it back off and I've put all the screws back in, and I am going to go back ahead and put it back together. But there was one other thing I found, which was cracked, and this is a little rod end, and that is on the end. Well, the best way is to show you really what I've had to do, but I think it's quite a good modification, because again, plastic 20 years old does go brittle. So what I've done in there, I've had that arm off and I've replaced it with an M6 rod end, and what I've had to do is tap that, cut thread on that shaft. Luckily it was just over 6mm, so I was able to run a 6mm die down it, and that has made that adjustable. We don't really need it adjustable, but you can, because you've got adjustment. If I can get the camera on it, you've got adjustment on that one there, but I've put it in there, set it up best I can on my own, and I say with it all plugged back together, everything's showing on the dashboard as it should be, selecting, cycles through the gears. So that's the best I can do, I think, really. I'll get it back together. I might be cutting and just show cycling it through and it illuminating on the dashboard, because I've probably seen that little bit of footage to Rob. He'll enjoy his weekend a bit more if he knows it's fixed. So yeah, I'm going to crack on and get that back together, and fingers crossed he has cured it.
Man,
Well, a little play there.
we
Rob.
both agreed we was both having an extra couple of days off to get a few bits done.
I just had a few hours.
Having a little tinker, he can't help it, guys, can he? We left it on, you know, it was what it was, and Chris has cracked on.
Well, we didn't want to go and spend £300 unnecessarily, did we?
No, definitely not.
You know, this...
You've got park up there, ignition's on. Drive.
Yeah, back to park. Yeah, they're all cycling through,
I
which
think.
they weren't.
No. But you haven't tried starting it with
No,
the
it needs
exhaust,
engine mount,
Yeah.
exhaust, all that. So I think we should
Get the engine mount
get a
back
few
on.
bits put back on so it's safe to crank it and hopefully start it.
Yeah. And fingers crossed.
Yeah,
And then we get it down and see if it drives, I guess.
yeah, that'd be the next.
Yeah, let's get engine mount back on it. And the cat's actually removed. It was a nightmare for Chris to get all that out of the way to get that little module off. You said it was quite a lot of work, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's quite buried, isn't it?
You've had to take off all these shields
Yeah.
down here behind you.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
roll bar.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get it back together and see if it fires up and see if it drives. I genuinely didn't realise how much was involved there. Chris has had to undo this whole loop on this exhaust system, get that out of a tight gap, and then remove this catalytic converter via these 3 bolts, and one of them broke. And it's actually behind that mount. There's a wire looped over there. You can just about see it there where he's plugged it back in. And you can see that module he's fitted is back in behind that engine mount. So, roll bar's back on. We're not going to put on these under trays just yet. Are we? We're going to try it.
Yeah, we've got to try it, haven't we?
Try it first. See if it drives. Yeah, and then go through the gears, I guess. We get it down and give it a try. The truth, I guess, is if it starts.
Well,
'cause
that's stage 1, isn't it?
it's definitely that then, wasn't it?
Must be, doesn't
must-
it? I don't like what that's
Oh.
doing though. Should we come in there? That's not good, is it?
Shall I try it? Park. Reverse. Neutral. It's not even coming up. Neutral. Drive.
That's not right, is it?
No, it's not
Yeah,
even.
knock it off, Rob.
It's not doing anything either, is it?
Oh yeah, I think that was in drive. Yep, that's in drive. Try it in reverse, Rob. No. That's in forward.
Park. I don't think it knows what gear it's in. It genuinely doesn't. I think where
That's
that,
a disappointment, isn't it?
you know that rod that you showed in that bit of video that broke?
Yeah.
I think that's actually been breaking and it's broken both of
Yeah,
those
well,
bits.
it was flexing. That's why I thought, well, best change that because it had a crack in it. But
Yeah,
don't know about that switch now, do we? Oh
mate,
well.
let's have an head scratch and think about this. Well, I guess we're going to have to...
I mean, the
order
only thing is whether I haven't got that rod quite the right length. But then I don't think when it's stationary, it would go in. Because at the moment, if you cycle that through, they all go like it's in park, isn't it? If you go straight to drive, yeah. So that rod must be the right length. It must be the switch, mustn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh well, take it back apart again, Rob. Order a new one.
I reckon before we do that, we got Lee coming tomorrow.
We have, yes.
Let's get it outside, get these seats out, because we don't want them done in the car, do we?
No, not really. But well, it'd be a lot easier for him, wouldn't it? Out the
But there's
car.
no point putting all that back on.
Oh no.
So we just get the wheel on it,
Yeah.
roll it out, get these out, and then get it back in.
Yeah.
And I'll get on the phone and get the bits ordered.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame, Chris.
Yeah. Oh well.
Sorry, you wasted your time on
Yeah,
it.
worth a try. Wasn't
It
it?
is what it is, isn't
There you
it?
go. All right.
Little bit annoying. Well, not annoying, just a little bit of a setback there with them bits. We're going to have to get them ordered up, get them in. So wheel back on, down on the ramp. I'm not even going to torque it up. Push it out and straight round, get the tools out and move on with getting out that passenger seat. There is just 4 torques, female torques actually. Get the front seat out and 1 wire underneath, but it's all self-explanatory. 1 pull clip and the wiring comes undone, and that's a passenger seat out. So like I said, very tight to actually get them out. There's quite a fair bit of room in the back there, so you can see I've put that luggage compartment and the centre console in there, and I think we're definitely going to have to get that done as well, aren't we, when we get the seats done, because that sits smack bang in the middle of them, even though it is a slightly different shade anyway. Yeah, seat out. This car must have had a broken window at some point. some money there for Chris. We'll tell him in a minute. There's loads. See him come running out. And quite a lot of you, rightly so, when I give this car a good clean, said, Rob, make sure you check that ECU under the seat because of the drains. So I did blow the drains through. They are all clear, but you can see no water's ever got in there. And if you look, it sort of goes downhill, and I guess that's to prevent any water from getting in there. That's why they've located it there. And again, there's not a great deal of room. So those 4-star drives in all 4 corners, I'm going to go ahead and get the other side out so that we can get them in the paint booth. Chris is actually in the paint booth, just getting it all prepped out, because the guy normally comes and does them in the car. Last time I had one done was an X5 some years ago, and he actually did them in the car, and they still come out great. But he said if they're out of the car, it's so much more easier, and of course he can get round a lot more of it as well. Oh, I haven't even mentioned, have I? I did mention in a previous video, we're having these seats connellised, so he's going to be repairing all of this. And when he actually come and picked something else up last week, I'm not going to mention what, I showed him this, and he said, I said, oh, you know, we've got a YouTube channel, I'd like to record it. He went, yeah, you can record it. So I'm looking forward to him coming tomorrow. We're watching him do that. But in the meantime, let's move on and get that one out. But these little things that stick to the carpet, they literally bolt down between the hinges and the feet. Everything's been thought out in these little cars, hasn't it? Let's get on. So straight onto the driver's seat, exactly the same. Couple of black clips to pull off that cover up the bolts. Undo the front bolts first, put the seat as far forward as it'll go, undo the back ones, unclip that wiring plug, and then straight out with the driver's seat in there to get the 2P that was under the seat from Chris. That's the other seat out. Right, that's both seats out, ready for Lee tomorrow. Just quickly, before we cut in on Lee doing it, so many people in the comments of the last video, you're crazy getting the paintwork done on that car. It's nowhere near as bad as you're saying it is. So let's have a more in-depth look. All scratched on the arch. Deep scratch there. There's a dent in it there. And you can also see there's another one there. And if you stand back just from here, scratches there down to the primer. This door has got, you really can't see it, I guess. But this car has got dinks and scratches all over it. I just want to show you the worst bits. This front wing has only got a couple of stone chips, but the bonnet is covered in them. So the bonnet's going to need painting. So therefore you're going to paint the front wing. Actually, look, didn't even notice that. See how deep they are. Just check I've got my mic on. I have. Front bumper, scuffed. It's got something on it there, really scuffed. And then here, you can see it's hit a garage wall and spidered. This front wing, look at the size of these chips. They're actually paint chips or something on the paint, and it has got various scratches all over it. This door is probably the worst panel. It's got scratches all the way through it, and you can see there the edge of the door is actually bent round and it's rusty on the edge. You can see it there. And then this quarter, if you get close, you can see is covered in scratches, and the bumper is all scuffed, and again scuffed there. You can see there's a huge dent there where it's had a little reversed into something. And then on this boot lid, you've got an outward dent there. You've got a massive outward dent there where something's been shut in the boot. I don't know if you can see that. Probably you'd get away with not painting that, but again, if you're painting the whole car, the rest of it, why wouldn't you do that? Right, I think no more money under there for Chris. There was a brand new key fob battery, but apart from a little vacuum out, them seats can go straight back in. The carpets are beautiful underneath. So we'll cut back in once Lee gets here tomorrow and starts doing them seats. So Lee's just arrived, guys, and he's kindly said that we can actually do as much videoing as we want. So he's going to be doing both of the front seats, centre armrest, and those little kick plates there. So here's a little before so that we can remember what this was like. And of course we'll be doing an after as well. let's let him do his thing. So all the preparation here, and I'm not going to pretend I know what he's doing. It's been a long time since I had Lee in to do it, but you could see he was doing his colour match there, and then he moves on to the masking up the seat, and then he'll start prepping it. So pretty much, just from what I'm seeing, it's like when you are painting a panel. So he starts scotching up all of the bits that are undamaged, just getting it flat, ready for that new dye or paint, whatever it is he puts on there. And then he starts the area there that had a little mark in it. He worked on that for a bit longer, keeps drying it, and then he'll move on to the process once he's completely happy. Well, I certainly can't show every element, but I believe Lee's actually got that already now, and you can see how light it's gone there on the edges, and that's just where he's using scotch and sandpaper. That's how they do it pretty much. They're prepping it like you'd prep a bit of paintwork. So I did see him just wipe that over with some degreaser, and I think he's going to be moving on to the painting process. And of course, I'm not going to be in here. I'm going to fire up the extraction for him, and we'll see how that one comes out. I'm quite excited. It's been a long time since I had a seat done, so let's see how we get on. Just don't know where to position the camera so I'll capture as much of it as I can. Let's try maybe over from this corner to there. That'd be a bit better. So you can see him there painting it, and I wish I zoomed in a little bit closer. Drying it there with a heat gun. Again, no solvents used, so no need for a mask or any protective equipment. We will do a cut-in and have a closer look at this because it is too far away. So guys, I thought it's time for a little bit of actually show what Lee was doing there. This is all water-based stuff he's using, and that's why he's using a heat gun as well. That seat looks unbelievable. Now, I did just ask Lee, because I'm going to forget in the time lapse, how far he travelled. So I know you're all going to want to know where he is, can you get yours done, etc. Now, he's based in Kent, Sittingbourne, where we are, and he goes down as far as like Dover and South London. So he does do quite a large area. Lee doesn't just do car seats. He can come to your house if you've got a stain or a mark on your leather sofa, and he actually comes inside your house and does this. So all leather repairs. I don't know, do you do any fabric like repairs for cigarette burns or anything, Lee? Or
yeah, I do that. I've just done actually I've done 3 handbags this week.
He's done handbags. So sorry,
my missus buys a pair of shoes, can't get the right colour. I've changed the colour on them as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. So hopefully you heard Lee there. I didn't even think, I wasn't going to ask him any questions, but he said he's actually done colour changes on shoes for his wife, and he does handbags. So I'm going to show you this chair once it's finished, but it looks unbelievable already. There'll be a link for Lee in the description down below. So just finishing up there with the last coat, and I think you would all agree it is outstanding transformation there. Of course, I've put Lee's details in the description down below. It is his website there, you can contact him. I know his son does something car related as well, but they're a joint venture. I guess Lee does all the interior and his son does another side of it. So that is Lee all finished, and he's just in his van doing my invoice. Guys, honestly, put it in the comments down below. What do you think of them? What a transformation. They look like 2 brand new seats waiting to be fitted in the car. And of course, this has all been matched up. So it's all going to work perfect. Once it's in, he did say if there's any discrepancy in the door panels, of course, they're not important right now. Getting these seats done were. Once that car goes off to paint, he can have the door panels, they're very small, do both of those, and that's the whole interior recolonised and looking like new. But how about that for an after? Let me just include that picture of before. And what a difference. Huge thank you to him once again. Let's get the man paid and on his way. Really has put a bit of excitement back in this build, because it was a little bit heartbreaking when it broke down and Chris had to end up towing me back. But of course it was definitely that gear position switch that's caused all of them problems, because now he's readjusted it, the car knows it's in park and it does actually start up. But that little rod that he put in there as well, I know that they're not adjustable, so I have ended up ordering that rod along with the new switch, and they're going to actually be here tomorrow morning. We're not going to film putting it on, because it is a case of putting it up on the ramp, stripping out that exhaust, that cat, the roll bar, getting it all removed again. Luckily, we didn't put all of those trays back on. So they're going to come in tomorrow, and no doubt this week we're going to get that fitted and get that car back on its wheels and get it booked in up the paint shop. Unfortunately, that is going to be the end of today's video. As usual, if you did enjoy it, we would really appreciate that thumbs up. Drop your comments in the comment section about them seats. I am blown away. Like I say, the last one he done for me was an X5 when they was current. So this is probably 10 years ago, and he's still at it and still absolutely perfect. Of course, I've put his website in the description down below. Don't forget, if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram, Salvage Rebuilds. Follow Chris on his personal one, Salvage Rebuilds Chris. Like, subscribe and share, and we'll look forward to seeing you all very, very soon in the next one.